Life Audio.
Welcome to But Jesus Drank Wine.
And other stories that kept us stuck. I'm Mead.
And I'm Christy.
In this podcast, we'll explore the stories that kept us, stuck, wanting to drink and not wanting to drink, all at the same time.
Join us as we show you that freedom from alcohol does not have to mean a life sentence of misery and missing out,
but actually means living an authentic life full of peace, joy, and purpose. Hi. Look at you with your new. Hello. Look at you with your.
We're here.
We are. We are here. I know. What is happening? Look at you with your new little setup, your temporary setup there.
I am podcasting to you ladies live from a picnic table in my hallway because it is 90 something degrees. And I cannot go upstairs with no air conditioning because I will actually melt.
Are those beach chairs on that picture behind you? Is that the beach?
Yes, it's a gray Mayland vibe.
Oh, I love
Isn't it
that.
cute?
Yeah. Well, when you sent me the picture of your new setup this morning, I was like, oh, that looks so peaceful and sweet. Your front doors are open. You're out in the country, the English countryside. I know it's really hot. I'm sorry for that, but
That's okay.
But it looks like a delightful, I'm envisioning it as a delightful little spot, even though you've got people on either side of you doing things too, which it's funny. The behind the scenes, you guys, of podcasting, I've got the dog right outside my office door. I don't have air conditioning today, so you've got
so
fans
sorry.
going.
Do you remember when we first started and we thought that we couldn't have fans?
Oh, yeah.
And so we would literally just sit and sweat through recordings. And now
With
I
the
literally
lights
have
on
fans
and
on either side.
So yeah, here's the thing. We have fans on regardless of whether we have air conditioning or in my case, it's currently working or not. Yeah, because it's hot with all the lights.
Well, and you know what? I love you ladies and you dear listeners so much, but I can't do it without a fan anymore. So perimenopause vibes, I'm just going to have the fan, even if you can hear it. So I apologize.
I think we're good. I never hear our fans. And if you do, don't tell us because we're not changing.
Don't tell us.
Just don't tell us, please. If you don't like it, don't tell us. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. So we are doing part 3 of our 6-part series going through the Love Life Sober 40-Day Fast book. And we're so excited. Huzzah. And which is, by the way, again, so British of you to do that. We're so excited because as of today, when we're recording this, we have just opened up the signups for the September 40-Day Fast. And last year's September 40-Day Fast was so popular and so much fun, and I cannot wait. September is such a fun time, I think, to do this. And I know that we just told you on a recent episode that you shouldn't wait till September, and we still stand by that. You can still start gathering all the data now in the summer. But I think it's really exciting to have this as a way to start off the new school year and all that stuff. So anyways, all that being said, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, this is a way of doing it with community, with women who are starting it at the same time and walking through it together. And then you get the live coaching. That is such a big piece when you run into those conflicts in your thinking. And that's our job as coaches, is to find those conflicts and help you see what to do with that. And I also love, it was obviously intentional of us to choose to do the fast in September, not October. There's so many sober Octobers, and those are great. But again, we're so for don't wait. Let's jump in now. In the summer, keep your mind open, learn, try, get some experiential knowledge going. And then also, when you're ready to join with community and be coached through it, jump in with the September fast. You don't have to wait until sober October.
Yeah, so good. And so we're opening it now, which means if you sign up now, we let you into the community now, which is not really smart of us as business people, but it's all good because it means you can jump in and you can start to get to know us and the leadership team and all the wonderful gals that are in the community already. Join us for the connection calls and join us for the Bible recap calls and all of that stuff before we actually open up the special private space. We have a special private space for our 40-day fasters. And so it's a really gentle, I think, also ease in to start getting to know how the Circle platform works, and all of that good stuff. The sooner you sign up, honestly, the better, because you get more connection.
Yeah, exactly. Come hang out, join the BJDW fam and hang out until it's time to really get going.
Today we're going to go through days 14 to 21. And again, we don't have the time to give you everything in here because there's a lot, but we just want to give you some of our favorite parts of these chapters so that you get an idea of how the book walks you through and coaches you through a 40-day fast, but also what we're going to be doing with you in the September 40-day fast. So day 14 is all about navigating sugar cravings. I would love to hear what that was like for you, babe.
Well, I didn't realize how much of my nightly-ish wine habit was related to the blood sugar piece and related to the amount of sugar that that I was used to getting around that time of day, because my blood sugar, so it's 4 or 5 o'clock when you start thinking about the wine, and maybe I didn't have a great lunch that day or whatever. And so for me, it was more like realizing the blood sugar piece was a big part of why I was craving the wine in the evenings. And that really helped me too with my thinking around it. It made sense that I needed some help with the blood sugar. And it's so easy to see how wine became that just auto habit thing that I did, because it was fulfilling that need for the sugar, that wine has so much sugar. But we're also talking about the sugar cravings as a part of taking a fast from alcohol. When you're used to all that sugar, then you're taking a break from it and it's like, "Oh, why am I craving all the sugary things?" And that was something that I definitely found myself looking for, this like the sweet treats, and dessert seemed like a great option for me when I was free from alcohol and wasn't drinking it anymore. It was like I did still have that craving for something sweet in the evenings. What about you? What was your experience with that?
Yeah, so very similar. And I think the piece too, in addition to the blood sugar, that I was like, oh, that makes so much sense, is the dopamine of it all, right? So
Yes, yes.
you're craving that dopamine hit that you get from the wine, and the substitute may be sugar. And one of the things that I dive into in the book too is that I don't think that we can talk about sugar and we can talk about giving yourself grace to, for example, have sugar without
Yeah.
touching very, very briefly. And I wanted to go into this more, but I just go into it briefly, just about this might be a time where body image stuff comes up for you.
Yep.
And if so, that's okay. It definitely came up for me because I was, oh my gosh, I'm
Mhm.
eating so much ice cream. And I was during COVID, oh my gosh, I'm eating so much banana bread that Ella's cooking or baking or whatever. But just to give yourself so much grace and to focus on just the alcohol for now.
Mm.
And even though it feels like the sugar cravings are going to last in that intense way forever, they really truly don't. Like neither of us, I don't know if you did, but I was having a little bit of ice cream or something every night, and I don't do that anymore. I also don't have sugary mocktails anymore just because it slowly petered out. And this chapter just really encourages you to give yourself so much grace and compassion for these sugar cravings, write it out, and they're not going to last forever.
And I think that one of the most helpful things you can do, if you find that in this fast from alcohol, you are craving sugar more, one of the most helpful things you can do is pay attention to that thought that has you maybe panicking about this. Oh my gosh, I'm fasting from alcohol, but now I've got this sugar problem. So I've just maybe solved one problem, but now I have this other problem. That kind of thinking does not serve us. Looking at it with that experimental mindset and that 30,000-foot view, zooming out and seeing, okay, like it makes sense why this is happening. And to your point, I'm going to give myself some grace in this, and it will not be this forever, because for sure, like you said, once everything regulates back to finds its new homeostasis where levels are normal, dopamine is returned to a not being hijacked by the artificial and all of that, it naturally figures itself out. And if it doesn't, then you can use the same thinking on the drinking that you can with sugar. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to add too, is that all the ways that we teach you when we coach you through this is that you can use the same exact main tools of how to change your drinking, how to change your thinking to change your drinking, as how to change your thinking to change all of your behavior, which is so
Yep.
incredibly helpful. There's a gal that actually is in The Missing Piece that was talking recently about how she gets these really good, I think, like small cottage cheeses in the afternoon, and how she knows that her blood sugar crashes and at 4 o'clock she's desperate for wine. And so she's figured this out. She's done this experimentation and she's found that if she just has that ready by like 3:34, it helps her cravings so much. And she shared that recently, which I thought was so cool.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly right. There are things we can do to help ourselves in that moment of, oh gosh, I am craving this or whatever, if we're already filled up nutritionally, and protein being such a big piece of that. Yeah. I love a little handful of almonds, a little hummus, and some fresh vegetables. That's usually my afternoon go-to snack, regardless of what my day has looked like. That is when the hangry can set in the evening. So while I don't crave alcohol anymore, or I don't think about that anymore, I still can get to that point of, okay, blood sugar is dropping. And if I'm already preemptively having my high protein, good fat snack, then it helps. High fiber. Yeah.
Yeah. I do. This sounds so weird, but we have this really good peanut butter here called Manalife in the UK. And it's just like super nothing added kind of thing. And it's so delicious. And I literally will have a spoon of it and I will put it in a coffee mug and I will just eat straight peanut butter. And it is so good.
Yeah. Well, I'm all for that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Okay,
So
we could talk about food all day long.
I know.
But let's talk really quickly about day 15. And day 15 is all about just how you have choices on how to view your fast, how to view your relationship with alcohol.
Yep.
And this is really for the gal, both of us, who thought there was only one way to freedom, and that was a traditional recovery model that you had to use the label. And so this chapter explains exactly alcohol use disorder, why it's a spectrum. We've talked a lot about that on here, but then it gives you some other different models in the medical and scientific communities. And so one of them is called the disease model. Then there's a learning model, the self-medication model. And so I don't know if we should spend too much time here, but because I think it's just good for the gals to read it and to gain that knowledge of where they feel like they fit in.
I just love, because I think to me, this is so empowering for anything that we feel stuck with.
Yeah.
And it debunks some of that disease model situation or whatever. But the learning way of this, the learning model, if you will, is the way that something becomes a habit. We put him into Dr. Judd Brewer. He's one of my favorite non-Christian secular kind of resources for this kind of work. And he talks about reward-based learning and how the brain works and how it puts things into habit loops. And I love seeing that. I love being able to look back and see where it very much became this: you have a trigger, you have a behavior, and you have a result. And the trigger was, oh, the sunny day and everybody's on the patio. And then so I would think about rosé. And so that was a trigger. And then the behavior, I wanted to automatically have a glass of wine for that. And then the result, this is what comes. But putting it into this context of, it's no wonder things become habits. And I think that's just so empowering, because it doesn't have to always be this dark, heavy addiction conversation when we're thinking about alcohol. And that was one of the things that really kept me stuck when I was finally realizing that alcohol was taking up too much space in my life, was that I thought it was just a dark, heavy addiction conversation. And yet I didn't quite fit into that category. I would highly recommend reading about that, the learning model, and thinking about it in terms of your alcohol use falling into this habit loop, and breaking that habit loop disrupting that habit loop is why things like doing a 40-day fast are so helpful, because it's taking it out of that automatized way that you've learned to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good, babe. And it also gives, I think, hope. I was just chatting with a gal this morning about, we're doing a 40-day fast together. And she was like, oh, I'm on day 21 and I'm still having thoughts about alcohol. And I was like, babe, how many decades have you been drinking? How much information do you have in your subconscious filing cabinet of all of the benefits and the information that you have about alcohol? So if you've learned that over a number of years, decades, again, give yourself so much grace, because it takes time to unlearn that. takes time to give yourself the experiential knowledge on as a non-drinker and do all the things that you did as a drinker to then show yourself that not only is it possible, but it might be better. And so it's just another great way of giving yourself that grace and compassion to unlearn and learn something new.
Yes.
And I guess as we're talking, I just want to say too, this can happen at any age, right? Like this can happen at any age. We've gotten a few emails recently, which I love so much, of like, I'm in my 50s or I'm in my 60s. Is there anybody in your community that is anywhere close to my age? And we're yes.
So many. Yes.
There are a ton of you, and it's never too late, right?
Yes, so true. And I also, well, I could go off on this on a little tangent on this too, but I also think it's so important to be in a space where you have, I think we so often think that we need to be with our age and stage people, but we have an opportunity to learn from each other, all of us, no matter our age or stage. We can learn anyway. I could go on and on, but
no, it's so true. And yes, and we won't bang on about how much we love our community because we do that a lot here. But I think the other thing that's really special about it too is that there are women from different ages and stages, but there are women from different stages of their alcohol journey as well.
Yes.
And the women that are already free that are sticking around to pray for and encourage and support the women that are coming in as freshies.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. So good. The other thing that's great to read about in this chapter is the self-medication model as well. And that was something that if you have been drinking as a coping mechanism, I talk a lot about how this was a huge coping mechanism when my mom passed away. And if that is something that you relate to, this is a good chapter to read just because it makes so much sense why and how alcohol takes that small, tiny opening when you're giving it a job of self-medicating or coping in a certain way. And so just give yourself, again, all of the grace and compassion to understand how you got to where you are. And again, we've said this too, that you're up against a highly addictive drug. And so understanding how you got to where you are is a lot better than beating yourself up and playing the shame game.
Well, on a very basic level, alcohol is an anesthetic. And so if you have had alcohol for any kind of regularity or not, you feel an anesthetic sensation from drinking alcohol. So in the case of self-medicating, if you've got grief and loss, and by the way, we all have mountains of grief and loss. So even if you don't have some big grief situation right now, like, can't underestimate the fact that we all carry just mountains and mountains of unprocessed grief from lots of tiny things too. But it makes sense why alcohol as an anesthetic can, like you said, there's that tiny opening for it to then come in and numb our discomfort. And if we're numbing our discomfort, whether that's good, we're uncomfortable because of something good or uncomfortable because of something bad or whatever, at the bottom level of it all, we're looking for relief from how we're uncomfortable. And alcohol has been benefiting, air quotes, us in that way. And that's an opportunity to explore as well. Why am I uncomfortable? What does discomfort feel like? All of those things. It just helps in realizing that it's not your fault if this is where you are with it. It has an anesthetic effect. It will numb unpleasant sensations for a time. And then we know the cost is so much greater, in the long run, even with that. But it makes sense why it can become, I was talking about the habit loops, why it puts it into a habit loop, right?
And it numbs not even just the uncomfortable thing too, right? The uncomfortable things. That was the other one of the massive realizations for me was, oh, I'm numbing the bad, but I'm also actually numbing the good. And when it does not discriminate in that way. And so you're not able to feel the joy and the good and all of that part of your life when you're also numbing out the bad. So
yeah, exactly. Yes. You have choices, friends, and that's what's so important. That's what I love about that chapter in particular, is that we don't have to live inside a box or preconceived, this is how it is or whatever. Like, through our thinking, changing our thinking, we have we have options for choosing differently. And that creates massive change on the action side, on the behavior side. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I've gotten lots of really lovely feedback on this chapter of just like, oh gosh, I feel seen, or oh gosh, this
Yeah.
makes sense. And so this Tina is definitely one to dive into. And just also a quick note on the Tinas, because if you're anything like me and you like to listen to books on Audible, when you get the Fast on Audible, you have a PDF that you can download with the Tinas, so you're not missing out on doing that work. So, anyways, okay, shall we move on to day 16, which is about my favorite thing in the whole wide world?
I was just gonna say your favorite chapter, your favorite day of all. Sleep.
This is where it all started for me, to be honest.
Let's go back to that. Where did it all start for you, Christy? Take us back.
The people have heard my story too many times, but I really truly believe that alcohol helped me sleep, as true as the sky's blue, as we say. And this was the first benefit, the first massive change that I saw when I decided to take my own break, and I just started sleeping so much better. I was sleeping through the night. I was waking up rested. I was not waking up parched and ready to have a sweater in my mouth like I was crawling through the Sahara Desert, all that good stuff. It spurred me on to continue because I was, and we've said this just a couple of times on here before. Just a few. The sleep was enough.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it, but tell us about your sleep.
I didn't know how bad my sleep was until how much better it was after freedom from alcohol. And I'm like, wait, I knew the mornings when I was waking up hungover, like I knew I was not getting, when I'm like, why am I wide awake at 3 a.m.? I'm saying you cannot go back to sleep. That adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones are kicking in from the alcohol as of me. Anyway, all the science is there. So I knew that I was getting crappy sleep on those mornings when I was waking up at 3 a.m. with the hangover. I just didn't know that all those other nights I was not sleeping well either until I learned the science of what alcohol does to your sleep and hijacks your sleep. And so it wasn't until I was free from alcohol where I was, oh my gosh, I am sleeping through the night. I am sleeping like a baby. I am waking up before my alarm clock is going off because I'm so rested and I'm so excited to start my day. I have journal pages upon journal pages from those early days of, I cannot believe what is happening right now. I am waking up rested and excited about the day before my alarm clock goes off. How is that even possible? But it's because I was getting a good night's sleep. My REM sleep wasn't being affected by the alcohol, all of that. So yeah, I never really had the belief that alcohol was helping my sleep per se. It wasn't a big one. I might have thought, oh yeah, it helps me relax. It helps me go to sleep maybe is what I thought. But I just didn't realize how crappy my sleep was all the while I was stuck in the over drinking cycle. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the first books that I read when I went down the rabbit hole of all this stuff in the very beginning actually was the Matthew Walker, who's the world-renowned sleep scientist. He wrote a book called Why We Sleep. And a friend of mine, a friend of mine's husband decided to stop drinking. And so we were kind of texting on this group chat. And he's like, how is your sleep? And we really started to geek out about it. And then he's like, you have to read Matthew Walker's book. And so even before I went down the rabbit hole of Quit Lit, I read this sleep book. And when he explains, and I do a very light recap of some of his main points in this chapter, but why it's so important for us in order to think and heal and function and all of these things. It's why now I'm like, let the children sleep, let the teenagers sleep, right? Because their sweet growing brains need to sleep. That's a tangent. We don't have to go into teenage sleep, but it's very important.
It is very important because yes, to your point, we need good sleep in order for us to wake up and be able to do the things that we do, to have full cognitive functioning. So how much of my cloudiness in my head was related to all the stuff I had banging around in my head in my thinking life? Yes, for sure. But also because I wasn't sleeping well, because alcohol was ruining that. Like you've heard the studies of the surgeons that stay up for 24 hours and it's like equivalent to being drunk, so to speak, or whatever.
Yeah.
It's because God created our bodies to be rested and restored overnight when we're sleeping. And if we're not getting that, then it's going to make sense that we're going to have ill effects from that.
Yeah, there's been some crazy studies too about mortality rates based on lack of sleep and being deprived of sleep. It's so important. And when I clocked that I had not been properly sleeping because I had been anesthetizing myself to sleep for decades and decades, I was shocked. I felt bad for myself, but it also allowed me to give myself grace for this period of healing, right? Because a lot of things do have to happen, which I talk about in this chapter of like your melatonin production has to come back online. Your circadian rhythm feels like you're jet lagged because your body doesn't know when to put itself to sleep and it's been used to waking you up at a certain time every night. And so just give yourself so much grace for all of that to reprogram.
Yeah. And it takes time, and it takes a different amount of time. So don't write us and ask how long it takes. Please don't write us. And I mean, you can. We'd love to hear from you. We love hearing from you forever.
We love fan mail.
No matter what. But that's one of the most frequent questions is, okay, but when does the sleep get better? And I have seen it almost immediately get better for folks. I've seen it take, several months. And it's because, like, to your point, there's so many other things that have to regulate, and your everything has to settle out in a new way. And so give it time. It will get better. I can promise you, life without alcohol, you will sleep better, period. We can't make promises about all the things. That is one thing that I can promise will get better, as long as you don't have other things competing with that. But it's always a caveat. But
yeah, and if it does, the reason that I knew that I was in perimenopause is because my sleep went back to that wild and wacky time. Felt like I was drinking again. And so then I was able to work with a doctor, get the right things. I have an amazing magnesium supplement now that is a game changer, but also progesterone. And it's the best thing ever. And we're not going to spend a lot of time there because we could do that forever. Okay.
Next.
Day 17 is all about, it's not about you, it's about them. Oh my gosh. How many times have we heard the worry about what other people are going to think, what other people are going to think at the first time you tell them you're taking a break from alcohol, when you decide you're showing up with your own mocktail? There is such a fear. And I am with you, my friend, because I had it too. I was so scared. I was so scared about what other people were going to think. And the thing that we always say, and we'll go into lots of detail here, is just not to forget that when you feel like anybody is giving you a surprise reaction to the information that you're not drinking for a period of time, it is because you are holding up a mirror to them, and they automatically think about them. They automatically think, oh my gosh, if Christy's no longer drinking, does that mean I have to stop drinking? Does that mean I'm an alcoholic? Does that mean I'm never going to be able to drink again? Do I have to go to meetings for the rest of my life? And I know this to be true because I've been on both sides of it, where I've given friends a really hard time for taking a break from alcohol. But then I've also told people I'm on a break from alcohol, and I know what it's like to be inside my head, at least. And it's so true of so many other gals that we end up coaching. It's really, really funny, actually. I was coaching a gal this week, and she was talking about a friend of hers who she was really worried to tell her that she was on a 40-day fast. And she was talking to me about how when her friend quit smoking, she was so upset because she felt like she lost her smoking buddy. And I was like, just remember what it felt like when she told you she was no longer smoking. And that's how she's going to think. She's going to put it in the perspective of, oh my gosh, I'm losing my drinking buddy. But yeah, sorry, go. I'm talking too much.
Yeah, no, but that's so true. And it's so good because it allows us to step into these spaces with the knowledge that whatever discomfort someone feels as a result of what you're doing is just unequivocally, you know that word.
Unequivocally?
Yes. Isn't it unequivocally? Unequivocable?
I think it's
anyway,
just
whatever.
Unequivocally.
Unequivocally. Whatever. Words are so hard sometimes. It's just about them, and we can make our mind will want to go to make all of these stories about what it means about us and where we are, and we go into that place of fear, but their minds are also in that place of, well, what does this mean for me, to your point? And I think it's just important to know this going into it so that we can see it as that opportunity to be like, okay, grace for me and grace for you in this situation. Whatever you're feeling in response to my not drinking, is valid, and maybe it's an opportunity. Maybe it's an opportunity for you to create deeper connection with said friend, because you can have a honest conversation about it at some point. And it's in those hard conversations sometimes that I think we get the best connection with somebody. So I think a lot of it is that fear-based, wait, what does this mean about me? Or what does this mean about my relationship to this person? If we're the person that's saying, I'm taking a break from drinking, that person likely is having all of those alarm bells go off. So knowing that, I think, is so super helpful.
Yeah, that's so good. And we don't want you to ever feel like this can feel scary. And so the best way then when dealing with other people too is to be prepared. And so there is
Mm-hmm.
a list of things, of options, of things that you can say if you're on a break, taking a 40-day fast. And so I'll leave those to you. They're on page 97. But it's so important when you're dealing with other people to plan for every variable. And if you know what you're going to say ahead of time, that's so helpful. So there's a list of that in there as well.
And our episode very early on, we had a what do I tell my girlfriends if
Oh,
I'm
yeah. That's a good one.
very early episode. And so we go through some of those scenarios as well, what you can say, and more on
Stuff
that
with
there.
yes, so good. And then day 18, we talk all about boundaries, which is very intentionally after the all about your
Yeah.
friends day.
Right.
And I don't know about you gals, but I had never said, communicated, or held to a boundary before this
What?
journey in my life. And so this was a brand new territory for me. And so I just go into how that was hard, but also give you gals some really good tips and tools. What is the first time that you had to communicate a boundary around drinking, and how did that go?
Gosh, the first time.
Or
I
one
don't know
of the
that I'm
first times.
prepared for this question, Christy. What comes to mind for me is that I just had to be boundaried, whether I don't know that I had to say this out loud to anybody, but I, for myself, had to be boundaried in that if I want to leave early,
Yeah.
then I have
Yeah.
to be okay with that. And I can tell my friends I'm leaving early or not. For me, that was a type of boundary where I reserve the right to be able to leave before the party ends, because I'm not drinking, and it's just I don't I'd rather go home and get some sleep. Y'all, once everybody starts getting tipsy, then it's like, okay, yeah, I'm good. I came for the connection and we had that, and now I'm gonna go. But I can't think off the top of my head of what that was.
Yeah, no, but I think that is very similar to what happened with me too. It was very much about what to say yes to, what to say no to, but very
Oh,
much about
yes.
when to
Yes.
leave, when to leave. And I always with Chris would have
Mhm.
this is when we are going to leave. We're gonna leave at 10 o'clock, or we're gonna leave at 9:30, or whatever it is, or
Mhm.
I would have a secret code, something about the babysitter, and that would mean I've had enough. And we would go.
Yeah. Well, and so yeah, I guess I'm thinking about this from the lens too of when I was stuck in the drinking cycle, I wasn't intentional. I wasn't living very intentionally in a lot of ways. I was more in that autopilot, reactive kind of way. So it was like I didn't really have a plan. If I was going to a social event or if we were opening a bottle of wine, I didn't have this plan for it. It wasn't set with intention of what I'm whatever, like, this is how
Yeah.
much, and I mean, until I started trying to moderate it, but that was something that was important in the freedom from alcohol space, and actually truly a gift of not being stuck in alcohol anymore, was that I could kind of set this intention for, do I wanna go to this thing or not? I don't have to just say yes
Yeah.
to everything. I can choose the things I wanna attend. Do I actually really enjoy going to whatever it is, or was that just a whatever? And I think that is something that allows for that creation of quote unquote boundaries, if you will. It's just it's being intentional and then communicating
Yeah.
intentionally with your husband and or friends if you need to. Like, okay, yes, I would love to go to dinner for the girls' night that we're all planning, and 8 o'clock doesn't really work for me as a time anymore. Would y'all be willing to go at 6:30? Would that be okay? Or 7 or
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
or 5:30?
5:30?
Just kidding. It's too early. It's too
I'm
early.
not kidding. Why?
It's
Why
too
is
early.
5:30 too no. Okay,
It's
6:30.
6, 5:45. Can we go eat at 5:45? But just being being okay with asking for those things in those situations where they were necessary. I was just fly by the seat of my pants otherwise. And that didn't always turn out so great.
Yeah, one of my really good friends. Oh, you've met her. You met her when we went to the book launch, but she gave me a pillow. It says, "Please leave by 9." One of the favorite gifts ever. Yeah,
it's my
please leave by 9.
favorite. And
Get out. I love
not,
you. Get out.
yeah, it's not because life is boring and I just need to go sleep. It's like, oh no, that sleep is delicious. And you've accomplished everything that you meant to accomplish for that evening. How much of my night, how many of those drunken, overdone nights were just, I don't know. What was the point? I feel like after a certain point, like
after a certain point. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
What's the point? So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. 100%. Imagine stepping into a vibrant, welcoming community where faith, friendship, and freedom from alcohol come together. That's exactly what you'll find inside the But Jesus Drank Wine community.
Each week, our members gather for connection calls, a time to share honestly, grow spiritually, and support one another in a warm, grace-filled space.
And for women who are already free from alcohol, we offer a monthly connection call just for you, a space to stay grounded in your faith, share your victories, and continue growing in freedom.
With a loving leadership team, a dedicated prayer request board, and connection opportunities across every time zone, you never have to walk this journey alone.
We also offer masterclasses with expert guests, optional book and Bible studies, and so much more to help you grow in your faith and strengthen your sobriety.
For those ready to go even deeper, our small group coaching space, The Missing Piece, offers weekly recorded coaching calls and personalized support for women committed to breaking free from alcohol.
Whether you're sober curious or years alcohol free, if you love Jesus or want to fall in love with him again, you'll feel seen, supported, and strengthened here.
Ready to join the sisterhood? Head over to butjesusdrankwine.com/community or click the link in the show notes to learn more. We can't wait to meet you.
Okay, yes. Day 19 is all about joyful movement. And I decided that we were going to take back or not use the word exercise in this book very intentionally, because one of the things that was huge for me was incorporating walking and Pilates and all of this stuff within the beginning of my sobriety journey, but for my mental health and for the purpose of me feeling better and being able to actually get clear on my thoughts and all of that good stuff. And we've done a few episodes on this. When you've come from, I lost it. Gotta go around. Have come from a decades and decades of conditioning of exercise for making your body smaller, making your body thinner, making your body a different shape and size, and all of these things. And so to reclaim movement as something that's joyful and that can not only help with your alcohol-free journey, but can help in so many facets of your mental health was huge for me. What about you?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I didn't use the word journal because I was averse to that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I was averse to it initially. Yeah, I had to call it thought.
To the word journal?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Talked about that?
I did not know that you were averse to the word journal. This is new information. Episode 150, whatever. Yeah, I didn't know that.
It was not welcoming to me. Like it had a negative connotation to me. Whereas, and it was the same for exercise. I also very conditioned, like exercise is a means to an end. And exercise was the means to an end, which is a fitter, smaller, tighter body. And so I was, the word exercise for sure was charged. And so when after freedom from alcohol, and I was looking at all of these stories that were keeping me stuck in some way, that was one of them. And so, moving my body became, if I see moving my body as something as exercise, replace the word exercise with moving my body, how does that allow me to actually do the thing that is good for my body, which is moving it? And it changed my whole relationship to exercise and not being something that I am, trying to make some outward physical appearance as the product, the result of doing the thing, but because it is helpful for my mental health. But it's just, if we're meant to move our bodies, and we live very sedentary lifestyles these days with all the technology we have, right? And so we're supposed to be moving our body. And so finding the thing that allows you to do that and feel good about it, whatever that, I was a runner until the knee and the hip situation, till age. But walking, I think walking is so underrated
Totally.
as a excellent tool for moving your body, and its health benefits are incredible. I really sound like an old lady now, but it's true.
No,
you
you
guys
don't. And if you gals book a call or come to one of our things, I don't tend to use it during group calls because I feel like for some reason, looking at too many faces, I'm going to fall off the walking pad. But I have a walking pad under my desk. And I have noticed that if I am coaching while I'm walking, my brain
works better.
I wish we could record while I was walking, but I feel like with the mic, it would be weird. But it is, oh my gosh, it does such wonders for the way that we think and process and all of that good stuff. So in this chapter, there are lots of great tools and tips about how to find movement that you like, how to incorporate movement with community, how to stay motivated, how to add prayer to your movement. Gosh, this is such a great chapter.
Prayer walks. Oh my gosh. How fun are those? Oh my gosh. Love it.
Yeah. So
we don't have to go on and on, but
Chapter 20, which if you've been in the self-help or secular sober verse space, you probably are just, she's talking about gratitude, blah, blah, blah. You guys, don't sleep on gratitude. Gratitude is so, so big. You cannot feel grateful and anxious at the same time. It is the recipe that is given to us. Is it Philippians 4:7? In how to overcome being anxious is with gratitude. And so incorporate doing a list. There's so many different ways that you can do it, and they're all in this chapter, but it is so, so incredibly helpful. I got a gratitude journal from, I think it's Ann Voskamp's son company. Is it Caleb Voskamp? Have you seen it? And he does there's a couple lines for every day of the week, but how it works is you are on a fresh page for every day of that month, but you look back at the previous month, and so it's like September, October, November. So anyways, I'm getting to the end because I started it in September.
Oh, that's cool.
It's so fun to flip to September 21st and be, what am I grateful for in last September, being in New York with Mead and da 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 da, and it's So anyways, how has gratitude helped you, babe?
I think it's so important too, because it allows us to see where God is working and moving in our lives as well. And if we're coming from this place, I know one of the big things that kept me stuck initially too, coming from the stuck with drinking thing, is that my mind was so trained on, where's the problem? What do I need to solve? Where's the lack? What's not happening? How do I need to fix that? Whatever. And I had to train my mind away from that scarcity space or that high alert kind of space, and train it towards, wait, what is actually happening right now in real time? Where is God moving in my life right now? Where am I seeing him? Where am I experiencing him? And in response to where I'm seeing God moving, gratitude is the natural response. Praise is the natural response. And I think that's something that the secular world misses a little bit. It's make a gratitude list. Well, it's not hard when you're looking for God and you're looking for what he is doing and your eyes are focused on him. It naturally comes. But I have so much empathy for gals that are, my life is crap right now. There's all this going on around me and whatever. And it's hard to find gratitude. Maybe it's because you're not looking at God and what he's doing. So that became, that's a big shift. Gratitude is the natural outflow or expression of seeing where God is in my life, in the big things, but also just in really silly little small ways. It's a great shifter of emotion. You're anxious, think about what God is doing, and then having a practice where you're writing out that stuff. Like, it is so fun to look back and see, oh my gosh, like God answered my prayer. Lily Jett was a perfect example of this not too long ago, when she was like, she wrote out the 3 things that she had 3 things that she prayed for one week. and she had them, and she was able to then offer praise, gratitude from the fact that God answered those prayers, and then being able to reflect back on that when you can have that written out. I mean, it's just, yeah, there's nothing better.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
be
So,
anxious. You
so
can't
good.
be anxious in that.
Yeah, I think there was I can't remember who the guest was, but Dr. Lee had an incredible he always has such great doctors and scientists on there.
Mm.
And he was saying that we were really given 2 books from God. We were given the Bible, obviously, but then we were literally given the book of nature and just what is on display in just creation that we
Yes.
can incorporate into gratitude, like blue sky or like
Hello, sunsets and wildflowers.
Oh, here we go.
Here
Sunsets
we
and
go.
wildflowers. Here we
It was
go.
sunsets for a while. Now I'm really on this wildflower kick, you guys, and I just can't help it. It's so fun, but it makes me so happy. But why does it make me so happy? Because it is
Yeah.
God's workmanship. It's His creation on display for me. And when I was stuck in the drinking cycle, when I was stuck in a distant, at best, relationship with the Lord back 6, 7 years ago, I was missing all of that. He had all of this beautiful creation for me. I was missing that. I didn't notice any of that stuff. So I do have such deep appreciation for it now. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to go after we hit stop. I'm going to go and show you the wildflowers in our garden because they're really spectacular. Okay, the last chapter of today's episode is chapter 21, which is all about redefining self-care. And this is another one where we're going to turn things that you probably have heard or associated with your whole life on their heads because I always thought self-care was wine. Self-care was doing
What?
something, but not even just that, but also spending a lot of money on myself, buying something new,
Mhm.
going to get this, going on a pricey vacation, all of that stuff. And really, really not considering ever in any of those scenarios what that was going to do, how that was going to affect tomorrow morning, Christy, or in a few months, Christy, or a few years, Christy. And this chapter talks about thinking about you tomorrow and loving and caring for that woman tomorrow morning in the context of drinking, but in the context of everything else. And when you really learn, this is one of the beautiful opportunities from doing a 40-day fast and beyond is really learning how to care for yourself,
Yeah.
how to nourish yourself, how to rest, how to get cued into what your body and your brain and your spirit really, really need and honoring that, not in a way that social media tells you to do, right?
Yeah.
And so it's such a beautiful gift.
Yeah, the self-care, there were so many stories for me that kept me stuck thinking that self-care, and it was all that I can look back and see all of the stories that they were from it's what I saw. It was the glass of wine and the bathtub and the me time or the spending the money. It was all the stuff that the world was trying to sell me as self-care
Yeah.
that really that wasn't for my best interest, what was best for me ultimately. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
I think self-care is one of those, just one of the most important things you can do in this journey is look out like what your current definition of self-care is, and how are you taking care of yourself, and then also what is it for me to take care of, and like what is the Lord's? What is the Lord?
Yeah.
If I am completely connected, attached to the Lord, in deeper relationship with Him and talking to Him, He's going to provide everything
Yeah.
I need for myself. He's going to provide that for me. And so even just asking Him, what does it mean for me? What do you want? What do you want me to do to so-called take care of myself? What does that look
Yeah.
like? What does self-care for me look like? And so often now it's really, I never in a million years would have guessed, but it is, self-care for me is silence, stillness, and solitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Taking a
Me
break
too.
from all the noise and all the busy and and retreating, intentionally retreating to be alone with the Father and to pray and to be in conversation with Him. That is where I'm refilled and rejuvenated and restored. Of course, I didn't know I didn't know any
Yeah.
of this before, which is why I'm obviously sharing it, but it's looking at what our current definition of self-care is and how we think we're meeting that in those stories with so much grace and compassion. It's not your fault you have those stories, or you've been conditioned to believe that self-care is all those things that you listed, because I certainly did. I didn't know, but it's an opportunity to discover that there's so much more behind it. And yeah.
Yeah. So good. One of my favorite parts of this chapter is that I actually took from you the Psalm 46:10 diminishing be still prayer, which you have been opening up our small group coaching calls with that. You were for a while, and I just thought it was so impactful. So I popped that in here. And so it's all written out for you here in this chapter, page 117, and exactly what to do with your breath and all that. But that is a really, really helpful tool. So that kind of brings us to that chunk of days. Go get the book, sign up for the September 40-day fast, come hang out with us. We will coach you through all of this.
Yeah.
And we have the dates already lined up for when the coaching calls are and the times. But if you can't make them live, we record them, and it's just for our special space of 40-day fasters. So the link will be in the show notes. And am I missing anything?
I was going to say, we don't even need a Tiny Tina today, because we have 6 or 7 different Tiny Tinas you can take from each of these chapters. And we hope that you will do that. And we will see you soon, we hope, in the community, but next week for sure on the pod.
See you next Monday.
Bye.
Before we go, if you're craving real connection and want to talk more about what we've shared today, come join us in the BJDW community. It's where these conversations continue, and we'd love to welcome you in.
You can find all of our podcast episodes at butjesusdrankwine.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at butjesusdrankwine.
Take a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or two.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you love what we're doing, we'd be so grateful if you left a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Your reviews help more women who feel stuck and alone in the overdrinking cycle find the hope and encouragement they've been praying for.
Finally, we'd love to shout out the incredible team at Life Audio for their partnership with us at the But Jesus Drank Wine podcast. We invite you, dear listener, to visit lifeaudio.com, where you will find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in the Life Audio network. Shows about prayer, Bible study, Christian parenting, and more.
Thanks, friend. We appreciate you so much, and we'll see you next week.